Canada has a lack of productivity issue, and if you are a regular follower of my channel, I have been talking about on this channel that Canada's lack of productivity is going to hurt in the long run, especially when you measure the economic growth like GDP per capita. Then you really see the economic growth is not really expanding, but it is contracting on a per capita basis, and that really tells you the productivity is not growing. And if the productivity doesn't grow, that means the quality of life for Canadians is also declining along with that. And when you have a low growth of productivity, then in a high inflation environment, this is going to make the fight even tougher when it comes to fighting inflation by trying to run the monetary policy in a way that it can hurt the economic growth more than actually controlling the inflation. So one good news here is, or I should say a ray of hope is, that AI can solve this problem for Canada, but only if it is used properly. If the strategy is executed properly, then this could be a way out for us Canadians. What I'm talking about here is we have seen different industrial revolutions in the history, right? So starting from 18th century when we saw the steam engines, right? So that has completely changed the way the industrial output was growing in the 18th century. Then we saw the role of electricity and how this has completely changed the way the industrial work was being executed, and it has shown a great efficiency in terms of the output productivity. Then we saw the rise of computers, right, in the 19th century or in the late 20th century. That has changed the way we work, right? Now we are at the fourth industrial revolution, where this AI, especially the generative AI, is going to change the way we work. It will completely change the work dynamics, the working skills that is required is going to be changed. But at the same time, if it is going to replace some jobs, but it will also add new type of jobs which we haven't seen them yet. And most likely it will complement our existing jobs, especially on the knowledge worker side, right? There's a lot of tools already available free of charge that can help you to be more productive, right? That will help you to perform your job in a more efficient way, in less time and taking less resources. So that's a hope, right? So if we use AI, especially the generative AI, properly, that could be our way out of this lower productivity doom loop. But there are some cautions that we have to consider. Okay, number one is Canada is uniquely positioned, for example, in terms of the AI investment. If you look at this chart, you will see that Canada is second amongst OECD countries that is attracting venture capitalist funding towards AI startups, right? It's way behind US for sure. US is the hub of all the innovations and investment, but it's second amongst the OECD countries. But the problem here is that the adoption of AI technologies in Canada is much lower. Actually, if we rank the countries, Canada ranked last against the other G7 countries in terms of adopting the AI technology. And it has two reasons, in my opinion. Could be wrong. In my opinion, two reasons. Number one, we don't have the computing horsepower in Canada. So when I say the computing horsepower, that means we don't have the data center, the AI applications rolled out in Canada specifically, because we piggyback most of the time what US can offer, right? I know that some provinces like BC and Quebec are kind of forcing tech companies to bring the data center in Canada physically so that we can apply some data residency and security and privacy rules. But it's still, when it compares with other jurisdiction and countries, Canada has this problem a little bit. Number two is the adoption from the worker types, right? So as we know, Canada has a large amount of public sector employees. And no offense, but public sector doesn't care about productivity, okay? They don't even care about the brand recognition or customer experience or anything like that. So for them, whether they use AI or not doesn't really change anything for them. Okay. When it comes to private sector like banking industries or financial industry, insurance and retail industry, for example, or even to some extent the healthcare, right? Like the private healthcare, like dental and other services. Those businesses, they have care about customer experience. They value the brand recognition, they value the productivity, they value the P&L part of the balance sheet. So for them, it's important to adopt AI as much as they can to improve the productivity, to improve the top line revenue, and also the bottom line revenue as well. So that's one of the reasons why we're seeing the lack of adoption in Canada, because public sector doesn't really care about it, and majority of the jobs are being created in Canada, unfortunately, are by public sector. So if you look at this chart, you can see that the job growth that we have seen so far, it is widely coming from the public sector. So the government is getting bigger and bigger. And to be honest, the government doesn't create productivity, they are the consumer of the resources. Anyway, so this is a very interesting viewpoint. You may find it interesting and maybe helpful as well, that yes, we know that Canada has a lack of productivity issue, but there is a way out. Generative AI could be our trump card in terms of getting out of this lack of productivity issue. But I think it has to be executed properly. As I mentioned, much of the jobs are actually in public sector. Something has to be done to introduce AI in that segment as well. We cannot change the fact that half of Canada is public sector employees, but we have to bring AI to the forefront of those organizations as well. And that's a politician decision, right? So I can only tell you what can happen and what should be done, but at the end of the day, it's a policy decision that the people above us has to take. But it's possible, right? So I just wanted to give you a ray of hope. All the issues that we are seeing with regards to productivity in Canada, it can be solved, and AI is definitely one of the best tools we have, and using that tool, we can definitely get out of this doom loop. Anyway, you let me know what you think about that. Put your comments down below. Let me know how you see the economic growth is going to be benefited from generative AI, and put your comments down below. Ask me any questions. Check the links down below. There are some free stuff available, and I'll see you in my next video.